You've probably heard of the Barrett .5 caliber. It is without a doubt one of the most powerful, recognizable and feared sniper rifles ever created. In the world of firearms, it is a celebrity. It's the gun that stops trucks. It's the gun that shoots through walls. It is the icon of American firepower. But the story of this rifle, how it was created, and more importantly, what happened once it escaped into the wild, has darker chapters that don't get told as often. It is a story of impossible engineering, battlefield heroism, and a terrifying legacy in the hands of the wrong people. Today, we are telling you the whole thing, start to finish, from the garage floor where it was born to the cartel wars where it now reigns. To understand the weapon, you first have to understand the bullet, and that story starts not in 1982, but over a century ago in the trenches of the First World War. The .50 BMG, which stands for .50 caliber Browning machine gun, has roots that dig deep into the mud of 1917. The legendary John Browning looked at the battlefield and realized the standard rifle cartridges of the day were failing. A new terror had arrived, armored tanks and metal-skinned aeroplanes. The standard .30-06 rounds were bouncing off them like pebbles. General John Pershing asked for something bigger. He wanted a heavy machine gun, and Browning delivered the M2, the Mad Deuce, a weapon so effective that it is still the backbone of Western heavy weaponry today. But here is the scale of what they created. The .50 BMG cartridge is a monster. It is roughly 5 to 6 inches long. The bullet alone weighs about 650 to 800 grains. That is 12 times heavier than the 5.56 mm round fired by a modern M4 carbine. When it leaves the barrel, it carries between 10,000 and 15,000 foot-pounds of energy. Compare that to a modern hunting rifle which might have 2,000. This wasn't a bullet designed to kill a man. It was a bullet designed to kill machinery. It was meant to crack engine blocks, tear through aircraft skin, and shatter concrete. For decades, the idea that a single soldier could fire this round from a shoulder-mounted rifle was considered physics-defying insanity. Before Ronnie Barrett, only one man had truly proven that the .50 BMG could be a precision instrument. That man was Gunnery Sergeant Carlos Hathcock, the White Feather of Vietnam, a legend with 93 confirmed kills. In 1967, facing a logistical nightmare, Hathcock did something desperate and brilliant. He took a standard M2 heavy machine gun, mounted a telescopic sight to it, and locked it into single-fire mode. With this jerry-rigged artillery piece, he took a shot at a Viet Cong guerrilla pushing a bicycle loaded with ammo. The distance was 2,500 yards. That's nearly a mile and a half. He fired. The first round hit the bike. The second hit the target. That shot stood as the world record for the longest confirmed sniper kill for 35 years. It proved the cartridge could do the job. But there was a catch. Hathcock was firing an 84-pound machine gun on a tripod, held down by sandbags. It wasn't a sniper rifle. It was a stationary emplacement. You couldn't run with it. You couldn't hide with it. The world needed a portable solution. Enter Ronnie Barrett. He wasn't an engineer. He wasn't a weapons manufacturer. He was a professional photographer from Tennessee who just happened to love shooting. The idea hit him like a lightning bolt during a photo shoot. He was photographing a riverine patrol boat on Percy Priest Lake, and he stared at the twin M2 machine guns mounted on the deck. He turned to his friend and said, "I want to build a rifle that shoots that." His friend laughed. He told him, "If it could be done, Ronnie, someone smarter than you would have already done it." Barrett took that as a challenge. He had no CAD software, no degree. He sat at his dining room table and drew the design for a shoulder-fired semi-automatic 50 caliber rifle on newsprint paper. When he took those drawings to local machine shops, they turned him away. They told him the recoil would break the shooter's collarbone. They said the action would tear itself apart. But Ronnie found a local machinist in a garage who was willing to give it a shot. Working in a gravel-floor garage, they built the prototype in 4 months. It was ugly, it jammed, and it was heavy, but it didn't kill the shooter. Barrett's genius was in solving the recoil problem with a short recoil system. Here's how it works. When the gun fires, the barrel isn't fixed in place. It actually floats. The barrel and the bolt recoil backward together for about an inch, locked tight. This movement absorbs the initial violent spike of energy. Then an accelerator arm swings out, transferring that energy to the bolt, slinging it back to eject the spent shell while the barrel stops. Combined with a massive muzzle brake, that arrowhead shape on the end of the barrel, which redirects burning gases sideways and backwards, the recoil is tamed. Barrett managed to turn a recoil that should have been like a mule kick into something comparable to a 12-gauge shotgun. Heavy? Yes, but manageable. By 1982, the rifle was ready, the M82. Barrett built the first 30 rifles by hand. It took 9 months. He sold them for roughly $2,300 each, but they cost him $8,000 to make. He was hemorrhaging money. The U.S. military wasn't interested. The hunting market wasn't interested. He was on the brink of failure. Then he got a call from a peculiar customer, the CIA. They saw an ad in a firearms magazine and realized this was the perfect weapon for the Afghan mujahideen fighting the Soviet occupation. They needed a weapon that could be carried by a mountain fighter but could destroy a Soviet armored personnel carrier or a parked helicopter from a mile away. The CIA bought a batch, and suddenly the Barrett had gone to war. But the real turning point was Operation Desert Storm in the early 90s. The Marine Corps ordered 125 rifles. When American troops arrived in Iraq, they discovered the Barrett wasn't just a sniper rifle, it was a skeleton key. It could disable a truck engine at 1,500 yards. It could detonate enemy landmines from a safe distance. It could punch through brick walls where insurgents were hiding. This brings us to the uncomfortable reality of what this machine does to a living target. In the military, they call it anti-material, a polite way of saying it's meant for equipment. But in war, people are targets too. There is a myth that a .5 cal will kill you even if it misses just by the air pressure. That is false, but if it hits, the results are catastrophic. The bullet moves at nearly 3,000 feet per second. When it strikes flesh, it doesn't just drill a hole, it creates a temporary wound cavity the size of a beach ball. The hydrostatic shock wave can rupture organs far from the point of impact. It can sever limbs entirely. Standard infantry body armor, level 4 ceramic plates, can stop a specialized armor-piercing rifle round. But against a 50 BMG, it offers no more protection than a T-shirt. The round will go through the armor, through the soldier, and likely through the wall behind them. The rifle is only half the equation. The ammunition is where the real magic happens. You have the standard ball rounds, sure, but then you have the slap rounds, saboted light armor penetrators, which fire a tungsten dart at hypersonic speeds. And then you have the Raufoss Mark 211, the green tip. This is a Norwegian-designed masterpiece of destruction. Inside a single bullet, you have a tungsten penetrator to punch through armor, zirconium powder to start a fire, and a high explosive charge. It punches, it burns, and it explodes. In 2004, Marine Scout sniper Steve Reich was in Iraq, positioned on top of an abandoned oil storage tank. Through his scope, he spotted insurgents hiding behind a brick wall. They thought they were safe. They weren't.
Reich loaded Raufoss rounds. He fired through the wall, the rounds punched through the bricks and detonated on the other side. Over the course of 13 hours, he eliminated 9 targets.
Then there's the story of Don Cook, a Barrett veteran. He was working customer service in Tennessee when he got a frantic phone call. It was a Marine unit in Afghanistan. They were in an active firefight, bullets flying in the background, and their M107 had jammed. The trigger wouldn't reset. They had bent the ears of the lower receiver during cleaning. Cook, a former Marine himself, didn't panic. He told them, "Take the bolt carrier out. Use the bottom edge of it like a tool. Bend those ears back." He waited on the line. 30 seconds of silence. Then, boom. A voice came back on the line. "That worked. Thanks. We gotta go." It was customer service from 7,000 miles away, saving lives in real time. But for every story of heroism, there is a shadow. The Barrett MA-82 is legal to buy in most U.S. states. It costs about $10,000 spare change for a drug empire. Over the last 2 decades, thousands of these rifles have flowed south into Mexico, straw purchased by civilians and smuggled across the border. In the hands of the cartels, the Barrett shifted the balance of power. Mexican police officers are used to fighting criminals with AK-47s. They wear armor vests, they drive armored SUVs, but the Barrett makes that armor obsolete. In the infamous Culiacano in 2019, when the Sinaloa cartel besieged a city to free El Chapo's son, videos surfaced of cartel sicarios lying prone in the streets with Barrett .5 cals, pinning down the Mexican army. They have used them to assassinate high-ranking officials in armored cars. They have even used them to shoot down helicopters. In 2016, a police helicopter in Michoacán was struck in the engine block and brought down, killing everyone on board. The rifle has become a status symbol. There is even a famous Mexican band named Calibre 50. The weapon that Ronnie Barrett designed to save American lives is now being used to terrorize a neighboring nation. The situation got so bad that the Mexican government sued U.S. gun manufacturers, including Barrett, seeking billions in damages, arguing they knew their weapons were fueling the violence. That lawsuit faced heavy legal hurdles and was largely dismissed, but the reality on the ground remains. Back in the U.S., the story of the Barrett is evolving. The U.S. military is finally moving on. They are transitioning to the Mk-22 MRAD, a new, lighter, multi-caliber sniper rifle. And who designed it? Chris Barrett, Ronnie Barrett's son. They are the first father and son to ever have separate rifle designs adopted by the U.S. military, a dynasty of firepower. The Barrett .50 caliber is a paradox. It is a marvel of engineering that defied the laws of physics to put artillery power in the hands of a single man. It is a hero of Desert Storm and a guardian of Marines in Afghanistan, but it is also a villain in the streets of Culiacán, a destroyer of order and a symbol of lethal excess. Like all tools of war, it has no morality of its own. It only has power. And for the last 40 years, no other rifle has projected power quite like the Barrett. It changed the way we fight. It changed the way we perceive distance, and it proved that sometimes size really does matter.